So as we've been saying for a long time now, control of the House will likely come down to California and New York. And at this point, NBC News has called every House race in New York. And Democrats flipped three seats blue. In New York's 18th congressional district, Congressman Pat Ryan, who won his reelection by more than 13 points, has this to say about his very swingy state. He lays out just how he won in a thread on X saying, quote, "I've made clear over and over again to my constituents that I fight for them and against anyone who would do them harm, period, full stop." Congressman Pat Ryan of New York joins us now.
Congressman, good morning to you. Break that down for us. What does that actually look like in practice?
I think folks are so sick of the partisanship and the parties and just actually want someone who will show up, really listen. What challenges are you facing? And then deliver. And we got to be clear, not only who you're for, meaning as a representative, I am for my constituents, but who we're against. I mean, we have to make clear where this economic pressure, where this inequality is coming from, assign blame, and then work and fight against that to lower those costs.
Can I just ask you, Congressman, I think what I'm hearing from you is it's a question of almost being anti-corporatist instead of being anti-Republican. Is that right? Is there another example you would point to? Help make sure I understand this.
Yeah, in those remarks that I put out, we have to reject, if we're talking moderate, if we're talking progressive, we are missing the point. It's about, are you for me? As an American, as a constituent, as a human being working to feed my family and keep a roof over my head. And once we start talking in the partisan bickering back and forth and assigning blame there, you just lose people and they check out. And it's about speaking to their real lived pain and pressure. The biggest issue in my campaign was a battle against a local utility monopoly that had ripped off thousands of people. And we helped get $60 million back into constituents' hands. That's what we need to be talking about, not getting into the bickering and the back and forth.
So you have a very interesting dynamic because in the traditional parlance, so a state like New York, blue state, right? Republican, and I know back in the day, just trying to grab a little piece of New York for Republicans was like, oh, baby, no. But times have changed, Congressman, as we note from NBC's story talking about this realignment by Donald Trump and the political map, noting results so far show Trump winning more than 27% of the vote in the Bronx, shrinking his margin of defeat there significantly. It was the best result for a Republican presidential candidate in the borough in 40 years. You also have Bloomberg noting Trump's vote share in New York is the highest for the GOP candidate since 1996.
I would like to be on record noting that I disagree that it's a political realignment. I just want to be on record.
Okay, she's just on record. So noted from the member at the other end of the table.
I agree with
and that's where I was going. Simone and I, we're too simpatico. She knew where I was going with this because I think y'all need to just chill on all this realignment stuff, be honest, because I know what that looks like and how that happens. It doesn't happen in one cycle. It doesn't happen in one election. It is a process. But there are some warning signs for the Democratic Party on its messaging and understanding its voters. We led in with your tweet, and that speaks more real to what voters are looking for. Someone who's like, damn it, I'm here for you, right? I got you on this. That was not the messaging that I think a lot of Americans took away from the campaign. Although Kamala tried to lay that on the table, it didn't land the way it should have. What are your thoughts on that realignment piece and so forth?
Yeah, when you have 100 days, it's hard. And I think the VP did a great job putting that message out. We have to give people something to come out for. When you look at some of those New York City numbers, and I think it's very important, by the way, to distinguish between New York City versus all these battleground seats in New York, we did really well. We did our part in New York. We had a coordinated campaign. The numbers and the results are very different in those battleground areas where we invested, where we organized, where we were on the ground and present and talking to people, and more importantly, listening to people. And we gave them something to come out for and something to be against, clearly. And that is a huge difference to me. Whereas you look at some of the city numbers, I think a lot of people feel like this is already locked in, it's already baked. Why would I bother?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, Donald Trump campaigned in the Bronx. And so I'm not surprised that he saw gains there when people, and he campaigned consistently. So, like, Democrats were not but they didn't campaign in the Bronx. And I don't think the Democrats should have went to the Bronx just because Donald Trump was there. But I mean, to be clear, if you're spending time in the Bronx, well, you know, I mean, with 100 days, what you got? You got to spend time lots of places. Look, I know y'all say we got 90 seconds. I don't know what's after this, but I don't know. Depends on, they're telling me in my ear, 90 seconds. I'm like, that's what y'all think. I've really been just struggling with some of the conversation, not today, not with us, just in general that people have been having about the realignment, as the chairman noted, but also this idea of like working people. Because, you know, when I talk to, I know a lot of people that would not be considered like quote unquote, I think the tradition, who is working people? Because I don't know. To me, working people are people that if I don't go to work, I don't get paid and I can't pay my bills. At this point, I'm still working people. I don't know what y'all think, but I'm working people, right? There are a lot of people that we know that are working people, and the conversation right now is like, oh, we have to win back working class voters, but who are people talking about? Like, what is going on?
I mean, in my district, I have 800,000 constituents. It's 85, 90% of people that are feeling this pressure.
Right, white, black, Latino.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
And I always talk about it's paycheck to paycheck people. It's people that are doing everything they were asked, everything they were told that if you do these things, you'll be able to provide for your family, have a little security and a little bit of room to breathe, but they're not. And we have failed to both deliver on that in the immediate term in terms of housing costs, healthcare costs, gas, groceries, utilities, but also in the macro long term. This is where President Biden, I think, got it right and did a great job bringing jobs back, all the industrial policy that we're going to see those results, especially in New York. I mean, we're bringing the biggest quantum computing, well, Micron in Syracuse, but in my district, the world's biggest quantum computing data center in Poughkeepsie, New York. And nobody talks about it. It's a huge deal. My kids could work there that are 2 and 5 years old. And that's a big deal. But we also have to provide that immediate, urgent economic relief, and it's a 1-2 combo, and I just think we need to be talking about affordability every single day.
See, I hit the numbers. 90 seconds. Congressman Pat Ryan of New York, we appreciate your time.